I've spent my life sitting in borrowed chairs, always welcome, never awaited, never the reason the room was warm, only another place setting. If someone remembered, people speak of love as though it were infinite. It isn't. Love keeps ledgers. Every heart has a list, names written in careful order. The people they'd wake for, the people they'd cross oceans for, the people whose silence would terrify them. And then there are the rest of us. I never saw their lists, yet I always knew where my name had fallen, because every time I lifted someone's heart, my own place slipped lower. I built homes inside people who only ever rented a room in me. I answered before the phone could ring twice. They answered when remembering became convenient. I learned the difference between being loved and being useful. Useful people are remembered the way umbrellas are remembered, only when it rains. I became an umbrella, a spare key, a battery, a pair of hands, never the heart. When the storm passed, I was folded, put away, forgotten in the cupboard until the next emergency. No one thinks they're cruel. Neglect rarely announces itself. It arrives wearing ordinary clothes. I've been busy. We'll do it soon. I meant to call. One day becomes a month becomes a year becomes your reflection. You stop expecting people's footsteps. You stop looking up when your phone vibrates. You begin thinking people you begin thanking people for things they'd never realized they'd given. A reply, a smile, a nod. You call crumbs a feast because hunger rewrites dictionaries. The hardest thing I ever buried wasn't a person, wasn't a pet, wasn't hope. It was expectations. Expectation is heavier. Hope dies loudly. Expectation simply stops. There's a saying where I come from. You're wanted while you're covered in meat. When only bones remain, you're thrown away. Cruel, simple, true. Some nights I wonder whether I've spent my whole life trying to convince people there was still enough of me left to keep. The years have started closing. The years have started closing instead of opening. Evenings arrive earlier now. Mirrors have become less forgiving, more honest. Silence has become louder, and loneliness became very crowded. I count memories the way old men count tablets beside a glass of water, and somewhere, quietly, without permission, the question arrives: what if this was all there ever was? What if no one will ever know what it feels like to lose me? Because no one ever truly feared my absence. Maybe I was never meant to be someone's first thought. Maybe I was only ever the pause between thoughts. And when my chair finally sits empty, perhaps nothing will change. Someone else will answer the phone. Someone else will carry the weight. Someone else will be useful. The world has always been remarkably gifted at continuing without me. This isn't the tragedy. The tragedy is that I've spent a lifetime trying to become unforgettable to people who had already forgotten me while I was still standing beside them. So thank you to everyone who ever thought of me, even briefly. You don't know how long a starving heart can survive on almost. And if one day someone asks what finally broke me, don't tell them it was loneliness. Tell them it was spending an entire lifetime mistaking being needed for being loved, because there's a terrible difference. One disappears at the moment the work is done. The other stays after the light go out. I keep waiting for someone to choose me without needing a reason. I waited so long that waiting became my personality. And perhaps the saddest thing I will ever leave behind is not an empty chair or an unread message or a forgotten photograph. It is this: a heart that beat with all the strength it possessed until its final breath, and never once heard another heart change its rhythm because it stopped.